Good afternoon. This is a regular meeting of the Cameron County Commissioners Court, 29th day of May, 2007. It is now 5:30 p.m. And as we do all meetings, we will have an invocation by Thomas Karuba, pastor at Hosanna Assembly.
If we all could stand. Father, we just thank you, Lord, for today. God, how you bless. God, Father, we just ask, God, that you will just lead, direct, guide for every affair, everything that needs to be done here in the county. God, we ask for your blessings upon each person in the county, God. And Lord, even, God, that you will just help, God, in situations. And God, we just thank you for the mind of Christ and everything that we do. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I'd like to have the students from Russ Elementary lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and then to the Texas flag. All right?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one and indivisible.
Thank you. No one signed up for public comment? Okay. Y'all are going to have a treat today. I invited these young adults from Russ Elementary. They came by, as we've had for the last several weeks, tours of the Dancy building from different schools from within Cameron County. And they came by, I guess, about a week and a half or so ago, and they sang. And I was so impressed by their talent that I asked if they'd be willing to come back after school hours to come back and sing for us, and they said that they would, and so they're here. So they're going to sing about, 25 songs? All right. I think they're going to sing about 4 songs for you. Just sit back and enjoy, and I think it's a good way to end the summer, for them and begin our summer. So, Olivia, you're on.
La
Thank you very much. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Oh, my alma mater. Good job. See y'all. Have a good summer. Bye-bye now. Half the audience was the parents. Great.
Nice job.
You should have been here last week. It was packed.
Yeah, it'd have been a good. Bye.
Bye now.
Come back to see us. Bye, everybody.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah. Of course, pizza.
Sure. I think that's precious. That's what it's all about.
Item 2, presentation by the committee regarding the TAC assessment on the county's IT department. Pete, do you need music?
If you want to,
For this?
Judge, you can call the students back. If you all recall, sometime early March, the court had appointed an IT committee to start looking at some of the issues that the county was experiencing. And a couple of weeks after that committee was created and members appointed, the Texas Association of Counties came down and conducted a two-day assessment of our IT department, which involved extensive interviews with the majority of the departments in the county. During the interviews with the department staff, almost all identified the following common issues as problematic. Most believe that the IT department is understaffed. This is apparently being the justification for the hiring departmental technology related staff members. Most departments said they have little to no input on the needs. Some said the IT department ordered what it felt was best without consulting with the end user. Virtually all offices expressed a desire for a countywide software program. Spam, lost or delayed emails, and slow internet access were frequently reported by those being interviewed. Most perceived the IT department as an 8 to 5 operation. However, some confirmed assistance from IT outside regular office hours. Many offices had no knowledge of how data is backed up. Some of the findings and recommendations from the assessment was that there appears to be minimal effort to coordinate activities of the departmental technology staff members with the county IT department. The true cost of technology of the county needs to take into account the salaries of all technology staff members employed at the IT department and the other departments. The ideal situation would be to have all IT-related staff under one department. The current structure is fragmented and there's no county-wide control. The IT department is overwhelmed with maintenance issues. Their work is reactive rather than proactive. The IT department is probably understaffed. The job descriptions do not reflect what their actual duties are. Consolidation of all technology-related staff within the county may help alleviate the understaffing issues. Support issues are not tracked or documented. The IT department should consider the implementation of a full support desk with escalation levels and should assure that all support calls go through the system. Supervisors should monitor activity recorded in the system. Support desk personnel should place follow-up calls to ensure the end users are satisfied. Agreements with each county department will eliminate misconceptions about what can and will be provided by the IT department for each of the departments. 3 internet providers are currently used in an effort to provide redundancy and disaster recovery, those being AT&T, Time Warner, and UTB. In general, universities as an ISP may increase security issues due to the open nature of most university networks. The IT department needs to develop a records retention policy incorporated into county technology policy. The county spam filter settings need to be adjusted periodically so as to not to quarantine legitimate emails. Spam filters may be improperly configured. The county has no one person responsible for security. One person should be responsible for the security of all the county data. Periodic security audits of the county's network are recommended to detect vulnerabilities. There needs to be more IT training for the IT staff. There also needs to be more cross-training to staff so that staff can support each other when backup is needed. The workspace for the county IT department is very small, which makes it difficult for effective organization. Consideration should be given to provide maximum security for the county's hardware and provide more adequate workspace for the staff. If the recommended consolidation of all technology-related staff within the county is implemented, this will necessitate expanded workspace for the IT department. In conclusion, a technology committee was highly recommended in the assessment. The committee must include elected officials and department heads that have a stake in information technology. Members of the committee must understand the purpose and importance of cooperation and selflessness. The committee should drive the creation of a technology plan, but only after the county has created a strategic business plan. The role of the IT department is to support the strategic plan of the county and the functions of each department. Judge Migdalia Lopez and Commissioner Benavides have been co-chairing the committee. We've had several meetings since the members were appointed in early March. Some of the next steps that we have now that we have the assessment is some of the recommendations that were given to us in the assessment are recommendations that we can do or implement administratively, and we're already working on some of those recommendations and implementing those with the staff that we have available. We've got to develop a strategic or business plan. We've got to develop an information technology plan so that we can know what our short-term needs are, what our medium-term needs are, and then what our long-range needs are. Obviously, one of the major issues that was discussed during the interviews was the county's need to have one system for all law enforcement related departments so that they each could talk to each other and they each could tap into the information and use the information from the other departments. So that is something that we know, we've discussed at the committee level, that it's a long-term goal, long-term need that we have, and we'll work towards getting that accomplished. In the last month, I think we've had at least two committee meetings. Last week, we sent out a form requesting that all department heads fill out the forms so that we could take into consideration their short-term, medium-range, and then long-term needs that they will have so that we could develop our technology plan. In the meantime, we'll begin working with the committee on developing the strategic and business plan so that we can come back to the court and tell the court, where we're at today and where we want to be, a year from now, 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. And we'll come back to the court and show the court the needs that the county has and what it'll take to fund some of the needs that we have that will help us implement our technology plan and our strategic plan. As I mentioned, Commissioner Benavides has been co-chairing the department, and Commissioner, I don't know if you want to add.
Thank you, Pete. I think overall, all the department heads coming together, letting us know what their needs are. And I think there's a lot of confusion. I know that a lot of the big departments have their own IT personnel, and I think ultimately it would be the plan to bring all these IT people together, ultimately to work so that we could put our heads together and make our computer system work better. This is, like I say, something long-term, because I know up until the time that we actually implement a county-wide system, it's going to be difficult. But we are asking, and we thank every department head for coming forth and letting us get your input, and I encourage you to continue to do so. We need your input, and I know that ultimately we'll be able to come up with a good solution. I know that long-term, where this Commissioner's Court is going to have to decide what we're going to do as far as buying the proper software so that all our county-wide offices are linked together to be able to give a more efficient service to the county, and so that our departments can work better too. Thank you, Pete and David, for putting it together for us, and we will be letting you know as we progress with our meetings. Thank you.
We do have, if any member of the court wants a complete copy of the study, we can make copies for you all. But this was a summary, of their assessment, their recommendations, and their conclusions.
Pete, I think it's very obvious, and I think all of us had voiced our concern about the fragmentation that existed. So in summary, as I was listening to your report and listening to Commissioner Benavides, simply put, there's two basic things. We need good leadership, first of all, and then we've got to have the money to implement whatever it is that is going to be done. And the process that's going to be followed is critical. We've got to make sure that the process that's developed is one that will do all the things that Commissioner Benavides mentioned and you mentioned. But critically, simply put, there's two main things we're looking at: leadership in this department, someone that really knows what they're doing and has a commitment to really work, as both of you mentioned, with the department heads, and then we've got to have the money that it takes to implement this project.
Well, I think it's important that, we need to come back to the court with a plan in place and present a plan based on the needs of the county. And, we can present a plan that, will cover X number of years, that will require, X amount of dollars. But at least you'll have something that you can look at and say, this is where we're at today, and this is where, we'll be tomorrow, and this is where we want to be in the future if we want to stay in tune with technology. And I think, during the course of the next couple of months, it'll be important to see what other counties in the state of Texas are doing. A lot of counties are going through experience the same type of growth that we are. Technology changes every day. So it was important that we started, and we did, that the creation of the committee was very, very important, and I think we just need to follow up and develop that plan and present that plan to the court and then go from there.
Didn't we have one individual assigned for security on the technology committee, or not the committee, but the staff?
I think what's happened is that, and it was mentioned in the assessment, the job descriptions that we have for the staff don't necessarily match what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And I think there was different people doing different things, and probably the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. So we just need to define that and make sure that we do have an employee responsible to do that.
But we didn't have one individual named, didn't we, for security?
I'm not aware if we did or not.
We've had numerous discussions, and I know that we've bought some software that dealt with security issues, and we had an individual that was doing the security software work, networking for the county. No?
Yeah, no. The other thing we found out is that one of the recommendations on the support desk, we already had that software. I don't think it was being utilized, the way it should be utilized. So we're already looking into that. So some of the software, is rarely available to us. And like I said, some of the recommendations can be implemented administratively, without any additional burden on our budget. So those we're going to try to implement as soon as we can, and move forward and incorporate into our plan the ones that are going to require a budgetary amendment.
Is on the records retention, I know that I haven't seen a policy, but do we currently back up our systems daily?
Yes, and we back up every single email that we get, whether it's spam or junk email.
Whatever.
Everything is backed up.
So we're doing that already. We just don't necessarily have a policy.
Well, we need to have an electronic records retention policy so that we don't back up any emails that we don't have to be backing up. You know, there's no reason to be backing up junk email. And that'll save a lot of space, and that should alleviate some of the problem that we're having with our email system. And we're working with legal on that issue already.
Pete, I've been involved in the past with entities doing what we're starting out to do now and bringing things together, consolidating, mainstreaming, making all the activities and the different departments and entities uniform is going to be a costly project. It's going to take some time, but it is going to be very costly, and we need to start looking at a capital improvement plan for this because it's going to be expensive, but it's going to end up, once we get it completed, being much more effective and efficient and hopefully easier to manage and take care of. Having IT people scattered throughout the county working for different departments creates a burden on the county also. And if we can get this all into one, get our arms around all of it and put it into one place to where we know what's going on, we can better handle it and manage it, I think.
I think that's what a lot of counties are starting to realize, and that's, they're starting to go that route. And there are 3 or 4 counties in the state that really have been doing what we're just starting. They've been doing it for 4 or 5 years, and so they're at the level we want to be at 5 years from now. But again, I can't stress it enough, the individuals that came down from TAC, they really stressed the IT committee, because they say that that's the vehicle, that's the avenue that we need to use to ensure that we develop that plan and follow through and make sure that we establish that dialogue, that coordination with Commissioners Court. You all need to feel comfortable with the plan that we'll present to you and hopefully make it a lot easier for you if we have to invest, $1 million a year, but at least you'll know that you have a plan in place and you're investing it so that you can get to a level that you want the county to be at technology-wise.
They didn't at all go into the wireless internet provider service countywide or anything of that sort? None of that was discussed? No?
Yeah, I think if y'all recall, over the years, the IT department would always come to Cameron County and ask for, several $100,000, $1 million to upgrade and maintain their system. The court never was able to do it. And I think the reason that people set up their little ad hoc IT departments within their offices because they didn't have a confidence in our IT department. Either that or they just weren't responding quickly enough. So maybe in time, when can we expect another report from this committee?
What we want to do is maybe the first meeting of the month, starting in July, is bringing a report to the court on where we're at, and then just report on a monthly basis, and have that dialogue continue between the committee and Commissioners Court.
Okay, all right.
Move to acknowledge the report.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo to acknowledge Mr. Sepulveda's report on the IT department. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Consent items. Are there any items any member of the court wish to take out of sequence and discuss separately?
I have a question on 3.
Okay, we're going to pull that one out. Anything else? Anything on travel? Do I hear a motion to approve the consent items and all travel items with the exception of item number 3 having to do with the contract between the Cameron County Clerk's Department and ACS State and Local Solutions, Inc.? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. Any discussion from here or any member of the audience? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session? Moved by Commissioner Tamayo. Do I have a second by Commissioner Benavides? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item A, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning management and purchase issues with the International Bridge System on a matter in which the duty of the attorney of the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter pursuant to Code Section 551.0712. Item B, deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcels 15, 16, and 20 for right-of-way for the West Rail project pursuant to Code Section 551.072. Item C, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Julia Castro versus Cameron County Sheriff's Department, EEOC charge number 451-2007-000743 for discussion on status of case and possible settlement pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A and B. Item D, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning property owners who care South Padre Island SPI and others versus Cameron County and Laguna Madre Enhancement Group LP, cause number 2007-CCL-00798-C for discussion and authority to represent the county pursuant to Code Section 551.071A and 2. Lastly, item E, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Joel Gonzalez and Sonia Gonzalez versus Cameron County, Texas, and Jesus Villanueva individually and his official capacity, civil action number 05-278, for discussion of status of case and settlement pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A. Executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item A, confer with Commissioner Legal Counsel concerning the International Bridge System. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of Mr. Sepulveda?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item B, deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcels 15, 16, and 20 for right-of-way of the West Rail. Do I hear a motion, to approve the purchasing of those parcels?
Okay.
And item 15, in the amount of $16,564. Item 16, $27,278, and I didn't catch the item 20.
No, 20, no action.
Just a report on
Okay.
20.
So moved.
That's why I didn't catch it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item C, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Julia Castro versus Cameron County Sheriff's Department. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of counsel?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item D, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning property owners who care South Padre Island and others. Do I hear a motion to authorize our civil division to represent Cameron County and County Court of Law?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item E, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Joel Gonzalez and Sonia Gonzalez versus Cameron County. Do I hear a motion to table the item? There was no discussion.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any approved, item carries. Item 12, budget amendments, salary schedules, and/or line item transfers.
Anything else? What?
Number 3?
Consent item?
Oh, the consent item. I just, that's...
Yeah, we can go back to the consent.
Yeah. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, I pulled that out for the simple reason that I saw where legal signed, and it said with permission, and then some initials, and I just wanted clarification on that.
I think you had a staff person sign that, and that they had permission to sign it for you. Was it Irene or somebody?
Yes, sir, it was Lorraine. I was out of town, but I'd already looked at this and had already
right.
told her that she could sign for me.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item 12.
Anything else?
I had placed another set, a budget amendment for 2 grants, for the pandemic influenza and the public health response program that I left there before the meeting.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo. Do I have a second?
There's a reduction, basically, in the
Yes,
amount. I'll
that's-
second it for discussion.
Second by Commissioner Gatsa. Discussion.
Well, actually, it's an increase in both grants. If you notice on the, are you speaking in reference to the grants or another one?
I'm speaking on the pandemic.
Okay. No, that one it's an increase in funding. If you notice, the beginning budgets, most of the line items, were 0, and then they're allocating the additional funds that they're receiving to all the various line items listed.
So they're hiring more personnel, is that
Correct.
what this means?
And also in the public health response program, there was additional funding, and they're allocating those funds to the different line items.
And there is someone here from the health department, so if you have any specific questions to those.
Fidel, you want to address it real quick and just explain the revenue process?
We got additional funding from our grant, and so we had to go ahead and make the changes and make the increases on both of these grants.
Is this a continuation grant?
Yes, it's one we
Okay.
had several weeks ago.
And it expired when?
It expires in August 31st, 2007.
Okay. So this extends it for another year?
Actually, it's an addition. What happened is we got an amended contract, and this was just amended last month, and we just got it back from state, and this is the budget changes that we need to get on here.
So it's an addition,
Correct.
yeah.
And it still expires on August 31st, 2007.
2007?
Yes, sir.
So it has to be utilized
Correct.
quickly?
Anything else on the, those two supplemental, or that supplemental budget? I do have a question on the jail.
Thank you.
You're increasing the overtime budget from 40,000 to 70,000, you're reducing the salaries by, I'm sorry, 30,000, reducing the salary by, are those from their lab salaries where they haven't hired people?
Correct.
Okay, now-
Presently, it's my understanding they have, it was between 10 and 16 vacant slots. So they're having to have people work overtime.
Okay, now, but why the $1,000 decrease? Should that be, or should that have zeroed out?
Okay. Oh, that should be zeroed out. Let me see here real quick.
Well, there's a difference between 4,000 and 5,000.
Yeah, from the household supplies should actually be at 4,000, a reduction of 4,000.
Okay, so to go from 186 to 182, 112.
Correct.
Okay, was that your motion, Commissioner, with
Yes.
that correction?
So, yes, with a correction.
Okay, that was your second too, Commissioner Gatsa?
I guess, I mean, you're looking at 6026, is that the line item you're
Yes.
looking at?
Yeah, 6026.
So that should be what should that be? I mean,
From 186,112 to 182,112, for a reduction of $4,000.
186 to 182.
and then it should be 4,000 instead of 5 there?
Correct.
How'd you figure that out?
Well, because there was a shortage of $1,000, so normally those things are supposed to zero out unless you're hitting fund balance or something. All right, so we had a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, item carries. Approval of minutes for April the 10th, 2007. Everybody ready to approve that one?
I am.
Okay.
Did you get them?
Do I have a second to approve the minutes?
I'll second it.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Approval of claims. You got distributed a couple, I think, some extra ones. Any questions on the claims?
I want to make sure that the claims in your packet include 181,970 through 181,976. The Elections Department needed some of these elections judges paid. We reviewed the claims and included them, and I hope you have them.
What was the last number?
181,976 payable to Daniel Lee Serrata.
We have that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I wanted to make sure you
That's on
did.
there.
So,
We have a motion, we have a motion by Commissioner Gatsa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tamayo. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 15, discussion and possible action regarding the beach snack lease agreement. Pete?
Judge and Commissioners, we got a request from Mr. Ochoa that wanted to address the court.
County Judge, the Cusco, the Commissioners Court, I just requesting that you all to have a consideration on my lease, because when I did my proposal, I had my proposal was for 5 years, and automatically, like we had it before, it was a 5-year plus a 5-year extension. And I just got 2 years, so that's why I'm here, for you all to consider, to at least bring the lease back to at least 5 years.
What did the proposal ask for?
It was 5
The proposal asked for a 5-year lease,
plus a renewal of 5 years.
a 5-year option?
Option.
Okay, but where does the 2-year come from?
It was voted for the
I think last,
couple of weeks when there were Your Honor and the 2 county commissioners, and they just decided, Mr. Gatto said, well, just go 2 years. But I didn't know, I was on the agenda, so, but this why I didn't appear myself.
I'm a
Where's Javier?
little confused because
Javier.
I think I voted against that.
But it was, I don't know,
I think the discussion, though, Judge, was in terms of when the lease was going to start. I think there was some discussion about starting now or waiting till the end of the summer, and I think my recommendation was to start, give each vendor the outgoing concessionaire, the July 4th holiday, then the incoming concessionaire, the Labor Day holiday. But I got outvoted on that one, so they were going to start after the Labor Day. But what does yours have to do with?
You don't have a concern with that, because...
No, well, he got his renewed.
yes, but it was renewal, it was 7 concession stand, and you all voted, you made a motion for 2 years, remember that?
I think so. We
And-
did that,
So that's why I'm
Commissioner
back
Garza.
here, because my proposal is 5 years for the renewal of, an extension of 5 more years. But, I'll tell you for 5 years.
Judge, my question is, what was the request for?
5
The
years.
RFP.
Was it for 5 years?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's hear from Javier, 'cause I'm getting confused.
Okay.
Don't fight, see who gets up front.
Judge, Commissioners, what that was, it was when we went for the request for proposals, it didn't give a time. It just said for possible long-term lease. But it didn't have 2, 3, or 5 years.
Well, the judge is saying it was for 5 years, but...
That was his proposal.
Okay, well, I'm asking, what did our request ask for?
The
You're saying it
RFP.
didn't ask anything.
Right, it didn't have,
So you're saying
And-
the
and-
term used was for long-term?
correct. Because normally what we do is,
Well, I don't...
Anything
okay,
over
can
a
you-
year.
no, Hold on. Can you tell me exactly what the proposal said in terms of the length of term? I'm hearing 2 different things. Just tell me, what did the proposal ask for?
the proposal asked for whatever the description of the site was, whatever they were going to use it for a possible long-term lease.
Okay, so you didn't identify...
No,
So
we
it could
didn't-
be 25 years, for all we
Right,
know.
we didn't identify the term, because I didn't know the court would want to do a, 3-year with a option to renew for another 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years. I didn't know what where the court would want to go with this, so that's why I put possible, and then we would negotiate the term.
Well, I'm a little, I guess, confused here. How are concessionaires expected to come up with a real proposal if they don't have a clue as to whether it's going to be a short-term, mid-term, or long-term proposal? How would that be fair to either the judge or anybody else that wants to propose without specific language in the concession agreement? And why didn't we say this is going out for, like the judge said, 5 years with 5-year option? I mean, we left it so broad and open that could it have discouraged somebody from actually providing a proposal because they were uncertain of the terms? I guess I'm a little confused why no concession agreement. Well, let me ask you a question. Did any of the concession agreements identify a time frame?
No, sir.
Okay, we're saying yes, you're saying no, so which one is it?
Well, his did, the judge did.
I think Judge is trying to say that he proposed.
Okay, I'm not talking about proposals, I'm talking about what we requested.
RFPs.
To me, that's the governing tool, is what we requested. He could have said, well, I want a 20-year contract, and if, and the way it's written, we may be obligated to do that because our concession agreement was silent on it. But my question is just very clear, did any of the concession agreements identify a length of time on these, on these agreements?
You're talking about the RFPs?
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay.
So they were all the same? They
They're all
didn't give a
the
specific number?
They're all standard, and what
It
we
just
do is
said-
we just plug in the pertinent information that goes with whatever we're requesting proposals for.
Okay.
So as long as they qualify and fill in all the different areas we're asking for, then as the judge is saying, that's the governing tool. But it's difficult to make a governing decision when the term is kind of
Long.
hanging out there without anything definite to it, as far, on our part.
Yeah, and this is not the blame of the people making a proposal, but I think what the issue to me is, how can any potential concessionaire give, even a proposal with not knowing the terms and conditions of that proposal? I mean, to me, that's just leaving it real arbitrary here, okay? Because now we've got, the judge that wants a 5-year term, so if somebody else, any other concessionaire comes and says, you know what, this is silent on it, so I want 10 years. So I guess my question is, how are we going to define this? I mean, how are you going to get out of this, is my question. How are we going to do this?
Well, and I say this, that we generally, I know that there's a new judge and new commissioners, new court, but this is what we've been doing, normally, is that we use the standard agreement, the standard RFP, and what we do is when we negotiate the terms and whatever they're going to pay us, that's up to the court. That's why we normally place in there that it could possibly be for a long term.
Because
So
they're not all the
Because the
same
court-
length of time.
Right,
They're
the
different
court's going to
terms.
set up the term for these concessions.
And in this
And it-
particular case, we did the 2-year? Is that what you're
The
saying?
court approved a 2-year
For
term.
everyone.
He was asking for 5, and we said
Right.
2.
And
Well,
over the,
let me tell you, I don't know if we knew that he was asking
What you
for
were
5.
asking for, Judge?
But I will tell you that
We didn't get a copy of each one of
This
the...
is my proposal.
Well, yeah, but we didn't see the proposals, Judge. I mean, we just
We just
saw
saw the recommendations.
But I will tell you, though, that if we give, this concessionaire a 5-year with a 5-year option, then we have to stand ready to give everybody a 5-year option. You just can't pick and choose, well, we're going to do this one for 2, this one for 5. And I think, I don't know if we've learned our lesson, but I think that proposal process was flawed. We should have had terms and conditions. You can always negotiate, obviously, by the time we're awarding it, because we've already looked at the best deal for the county. But but I go back, how can a concessionaire give you a true proposal if they're uncertain in terms, length of time? So now we've got a problem that I don't have any problem going 5 years. I don't know about the 5-year option and all that stuff, but 5 years, I'm saying that I guess you need to afford that opportunity to every single person that was awarded a concession agreement, unless they don't want it. That's something different. What do y'all think?
Sylvia, can we do that at this point?
Oh, yeah.
I realize that we voted 2 meetings ago to cut it down to 2 years. Can we go ahead and, since this was brought out to light, can we just, reconsider what we passed and then make it across the board for everybody?
You can do that, Commissioner, but you're going to have to put on a specific agenda item to reconsider the term and, give a different length of time if that's what if the court wants to do. But Judge Costa is correct in that whatever you do, you're going to have to do across the board for all the concessions.
I don't think anybody has a problem with that. I know that several people contacted me about it, and in all fairness to them, we talked about it, and we did give a 2-year deal, and it wasn't until the judge brought it out to me and also Bromers and other people that had gotten the contract that I realized, 2 years, the people that are coming in new don't have time to recover the monies that they're going to put into the business. So I move that we put it back on the agenda and for extension of the contract.
Well, I think your motion ought to be to either say thumbs up or thumbs down to this concessionaire. Okay, either yes, we give him the 5 years or not, because he's already on the agenda, and then maybe at the next meeting, we
put
can
back the
put
other
an
one?
agenda item on. That'll give Javier an opportunity to call the other vendors, concessionaires, see if they want a 5-year. But I will tell you, I'm a little uncomfortable with this, because I think that was unfair. This was unfair to the existing concessionaires that did not receive a contract, or possibly those that did not, present an agreement because of the uncertainty of the term, so.
Are we saying now that we're going to try and make it uniform?
I think we should.
But that would have to be a separate agenda item.
Yeah, so let me hear a motion from Commissioner Benavides, and let me have a second to go ahead and see where it goes to award Beach Snacks lease agreement, a five-year agreement. I don't think I'm ready to do a 5-year option at this point, because I think we're, but unless
The
that's
reason
what the
is,
court wants to do.
for 5 years, because sometimes we borrow loans,
Is 5 years okay, but let's forget the 5-year option thing, because I really think it sets a bad precedent to exercise these options every time.
In the early 90s, we had it, this is the way we had it, 5 and 5, but.
Okay, well, let's do 5.
I'm happy with 5.
Okay, let's do 5. If I have a motion from Commissioner Benavides to do the 5?
I saw moved.
Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Gatsa to do the 5.
Excuse me, Judge, I think you'd be better off in tabling this item and then getting a hold of the rest of the concessionaires and then bringing it back in a week, and then deciding on the term then, and if you're going to, extend it or to 5 years, then you can do it all at
Why
one
can't
time.
we approve? He's here today. He's already here. We've already got it. We can always bring those old ones back,
And it's
but
an agenda
why
item.
make him wait?
Okay.
All right?
You
He's
know
already
what?
here, so.
All right.
The only comment that I wish to make is that, we've had 2 problems already come up. Is there anything else going to come up with these contracts? I mean, we had a start date and end date come up. When does a current end and when does a new one start? And we arbitrarily, as a court, set those dates. Now we're setting arbitrarily a date on how long the term of the contract is. Is there anything else on there, Dilbia, that could be a problem for us on these agreements, since they're all the same RFP?
At this point, nothing else has been brought up. The concessionaires that I've talked to did have a problem with the 2-year term, so that, at this point, I think that's about the last item or issue that they have.
Well, one thing that might come up, and I still don't agree with having the old concessionaires stay till the end of the summer, when there's a new one going to be awarded, but that's already been voted on, but let me express my concerns over that. Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Benavides to...
Well, that only happened because there were no terms on the RFP.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
And that's why this happened. Motion by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. And then, Pete, I guess for the next meeting, contact all the other concessionaires that were awarded the contract. Let them know we're going to go 5 years if they want to, 5 or less, but no 5-year option at this point, unless everybody wants to start doing that. Okay? Thank you.
I want you to just let you know that the bids are over, but at one time I went to, had the opportunity to have the umbrella, when Mr., what is his name, he used to be a Coast Guard. And there's a reason I only bid for my snack bar, because they said I could not bid for the umbrella or the t-shirt shop because it was a monopoly.
There was somebody what?
It was a monopoly. That's why I just stayed with the Beef Snack restaurant,
Okay.
snack bar, because I was told by Conway, you cannot bid for the umbrellas or any other business. You have to only stay with the snack bar business. And,
Well,
that's
Ken's
why-
been gone for
yes,
decades.
I know,
so
but
don't
that's
know.
why I didn't have, if not, I would have put a bid for the umbrellas because they're my neighbors.
All right, well, next time.
And, I want you to go, if you have a chance, and go with me to the Isla Blanca Park, because what I'm seeing now is pretty soon it's gonna be Isla Blanca Trailer Park, because they have taken a lot of parking that we had there before. So, I hope you have 30 minutes to ride around with me and show you the old parking that we had before, and they just took it away. Thank you for your time.
We'll do that. Thank you.
And thank you for this
All righty.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Well, next time, you're free, anybody's free to bid on anything. all right? Just so you know.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, item 16, consideration approval of agreement between Cameron County and Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson for delinquent tax collections. Item 16. I just have a couple of things, I don't know if you all do. I run them by Dilbia. One thing that I'd ask the tax assessor collect, is Tony here? You say get it? Tony? There you are, okay. And I understand that you all cannot do, guaranteed revenues, I understand that. But is there any language in this contract that gives us some performance guidelines or some performance measures, Tony? And if not, why not? And is that something that we want to start doing with all our...
Well, last week, Judge, Commissioners, last week, Pete and I and Mark met with the senior partner, Lucy, and Mr. Jangibara to talk about two issues. Was one, what you just indicated, if there was any type of statement or number to place on the contract. And I think after a long discussion, it was noted that on the contract, item number 6.02, that is, the court is not satisfied with the work the firm is doing, we could act on this particular section and cancel the contract within 30 days.
But Tony, on that item though, that's unfair to, not only to us, but it's unfair to the firm. How, I remember during their presentation, they made a comment about that the prior administration had asked them to come up with another X amount of dollars, and because they needed it for the budget or whatever, and they did. I think the number, Ms. Canales, was $300,000, if I remember right. And after the meeting, I kind of thought, well, why don't, how come they have to be asked to go out there and work harder to generate some more money? Why couldn't they do that automatically? But now with this, how can we, I don't think that they should be at the whim of a 3-2 vote, no matter who the firm is, okay? Why can't we give them some benchmarks, say, you know what, we want X percent of our delinquent taxes collected, because how can we establish our budget?
Well, the only benchmark that we have right now is what the court approves on on the rate of delinquent tax collections when we approve the budget. I think last year the court approved a 30%, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, where does that number come from? Where does the 30% come from?
Well, Mark is the one that works in the budget, and that's the number that was placed in the budget.
Okay.
We typically budget about 30%. Last October, we had an outstanding...
30% of what?
I'm about to... 30% of the outstanding delinquent tax balance. Okay. In July, I forecast what I believe our ending September 30th balance of uncollected taxes will be. And based on a number of years' trends, and it runs from 28 to 32% of collection rate for all our outstanding delinquent tax balance, and that is personal property and real property collections. So when I look at that, I said, well, we have typically achieved this level. This is what I will budget based on historical trends. And so October 1st, we started with a balance of $6.7 million of delinquent tax. That amount had not been written off. So that's what I budget. However, in discussions with our delinquent tax attorneys, there are some new things that we're going to implement. Is with personal property, we're going to address those on April 1st and be more aggressive. Also, we're going to look at, and you can correct me, and I suggested that we start looking at delinquencies in sales tax payments to the state so that we get an early indicator if some businesses are running into trouble, then we start looking at those accounts. There's a lot of things that we can do. But even looking at the real property taxes, either we have the property or we collect the tax. It's almost like habeas corpus in prison systems. So either we go after the property or we collect the tax. I don't see why we could not achieve 40%. And I don't see why we cannot. Now, it might be very difficult in the initial year trying to go after accounts that are over, 6 to 10 years old. But I think that if the property's still out there, then we need to file the lawsuit. But the real difficult issue that the attorneys have stipulated is finding out who are the real property owners in some of these old transactions. Well, there are methods to deal with that. You publish in a paper of general circulation, and you also move on it. And then there are recourses for the property owners to come back and reclaim their property over a period of time.
So, all right.
And so I think 40% is an achievable target. From what the tax assessor collector had looked at, one of the competitors in Denton County had collected about 38%. And that's in discussions with some of the other contestants in this particular RFP. Their minimum was 38 to 40% for every county that they collected for.
Okay, again, and really what happened was based on the comment that I think that y'all made about that you were asked to go out and collect $300,000 more, and so you worked it real hard and you collected $300,000 more. And my question was, why did you have to be, I don't mean you, but why did the firm have to be asked to go out and hustle and collect, and then you did it? So, again, coupled with that 6.02, I think it'd be appropriate, if you're willing to certify some in your budget, Mark, 35% as an example. If Denton County was 38%, we're at 30, we'll split the difference somewhere and do 34, 35% of collection. You said 40%, so 40% of delinquencies. I'm saying, let's do 35.
When a few years ago, when we asked the delinquent tax attorney firms to collect an additional $300,000, that was late in the summer. And so I think in the months of mid-June, July, and August, they really hustled during that period of time. Now, I think that if we implement a program that's 12 months, I think the 40% is achievable.
Okay. Well, I don't know if everybody wants to go 40%. I think that's stretching it. I think 35%. I just want to have something that I can look at as a benchmark, whether they're meeting their goals or not. But if you tell them, we budgeted 30%, well, then their incentive is to collect 30%.
Right.
Okay? So if we ask for 35%, maybe their incentive will be to collect 35%. If they don't, then we come back. There's actually a performance measure there. That's what I know. That way they know what their goals are, and a decision isn't made on the whim of someone gets upset or whatever, and off we go. But if they're following their performance guidelines, I've got no real problem with that.
Well, since we're collecting for BISD, they have guidelines and mandates to collect 96% or more.
But that's current.
That's current and delinquent. Both. And we have to start working at a higher level of collection rate. Now, when we talk about our collection rate for current, we in the past have been budgeting 94.5. Now, your delinquent tax efforts do help your current tax because they go in and help you collect your current too. But in the last few years, we barely achieved 94, and then this year was slightly under 94%. So even the efforts of trying to collect 40% of your delinquent tax balance boosts your current tax. Essentially, what we're trying to do is collect more money so we don't have to raise the rate of taxes that we collect.
Has BISD been collecting 96% of their current taxes?
I don't know. I need to review that. But that's their guideline right now to meet the state fiscal responsibility guidelines.
Well, I think the 96% is a combined current.
It is a combined.
Combined current and delinquent.
Current and delinquent.
Okay.
The current is,
Right.
I believe, 93,
Don't want to be confused.
and the difference is
The delinquents.
Right.
Yes. In order to meet the max tax formula.
Essentially, we should be somewhere around 97 to 98%. That's what counties are around the state of Texas. I know we have different economic conditions, but we do need to work a little harder.
Okay. Well, as one measure of performance, I'd like to have the 35% included as part of the contract,
As a performance measure, a benchmark, a
as a
target.
benchmark. That's correct. Okay? Now,
As opposed to putting it into our budgetary
as to
process?
putting- No, I think that if we're going to ask for 35%, I think, Mark, you're saying 40% should be attainable?
I
Would
think
you
it
have?
should be achievable.
Okay, would you have any problem in certifying 35% delinquent taxes in the upcoming budget? If you're saying 40% is achievable, would you have a problem certifying 35%? Can you look at it?
I'll look at that.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll work with your budget officer and review exactly, and I'll also get with your delinquent tax attorneys and have a 12-month program, and if there is good reliance on that particular program, I'll certify
Well, but
35%.
but still, their percentage of collection shouldn't be predicated on our budget. We could budget 10%. That doesn't matter. I
Right.
mean, that's a benchmark that they need to achieve. Okay? The other one on 5.03, which talks about the printing and the mailing of the May resolution notices. If you go back to 2.05, which is the RFP, where you make reference to the RFP, is that where you reference, or that's where it's referenced that they're going to have the 3 or 4 or multiple mailers? Because I didn't see the multiple mailer issue on the contract.
It's part of the RFP.
Okay, so when you're referring to 2.05, you're referring to all the elements of the RFP, which
Yes, sir.
included the additional
Yes.
mailers?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. That's why we included in there, to make sure it's a catch-all.
Okay. All right. The last thing, I know it's not on the contract, but I think it's not even spelled out in the next item, and that's on the override fee. And I know what y'all said, that you wouldn't want to reduce your rate to 12.5%, but I'd like to see that. I mean, I really want to see that in the contract. I know y'all bid 15%, but it was to award the contract subject to negotiation. Like we're negotiating the 35%, minimum, or, your benchmark. I'd still want to negotiate that 12.5% if the court wants to go in that direction. You don't have to answer me now, but, I mean, I think that's something you really want. I mean, I'd like to see that, unless the majority of the court there's not a big issue to them, okay? But it's an issue to me, to negotiate that to 12.5%. So that's all I have on this contract, unless somebody else has some other items.
My only question is, when Tony came up, you said that item was non-negotiable, having a benchmark, right? Isn't that what you told us? Yes.
No. Please say that.
Did you say that having a benchmark in the contract was non-negotiable?
Well, 2 items were discussed. One is the benchmark.
Right. You discussed that with the law firm?
Plug it in a percentage into
Right.
the contract. The other one was, the other item that we discussed was lowering their fee from 15 to 12.5.
Right.
And of course, the 20, they indicated that they had addressed the court, and that the RFP indicated 15%, and that they were going to stick with the 15%.
So it's non-negotiable?
The meeting was to negotiate this last Friday when we met.
Right, but the results of the meeting, I mean, you came out of that saying that was not negotiable.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask you, what did you end up negotiating? If those are the 2 elements that you wanted to negotiate,
we came up with the 3311, which wasn't in their proposal, and they indicated they would adopt that, and of course, that includes additional mail-outs or certified mail, a specialized mail-out, and that's...
Also, your full-time employee.
We
you didn't-
negotiated, the RFP asked for an employee once a week, and we negotiated and agreed to a full-time employee at the Cameron County Tax Office.
wasn't that in the proposal already, though?
It was once a week.
It was once a week, and...
Okay, it wasn't spelled out, okay. I thought it was in there
Part of
already.
the negotiation was to have the employee full-time, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
The RFP asked for an employee just once a week, and so we negotiated with them as far as a full-time employee. And as far as the percent of collections, whatever
percent of collections is given by Mr. Yates when we work with him. Of course, we'll try to achieve and surpass that percentage of collections. I mean, the more we collect, it's an incentive for us, we get paid. So we're willing to look and increase the collections, and we've already talked to them about several new methods that we're going to use to increase the collections on behalf of Cameron County. In fact, our firm is having an in-house summit to revamp and bring up a new collection program on behalf of our clients.
So then, just so I'm clear then, can we incorporate that into the contract? There's a 35% collection rate? Y'all want to go and huddle somewhere? There's nobody else, John, just you and Lucy.
I guess my question is, does this agreement that was negotiated last week that y'all discussed and is presented to us for review today, and actually for approval today, if we decide to comply with everything that was in the RFP?
Yes, we met all the requirements of the RFP and added the
Additional requirement?
the full-time employee, and the other reason we talked about the fact that we didn't want to actually commit to a percentage of collections was it wasn't a requirement of the RFP. It wasn't in the RFP. But in working with them, we can arrive to a figure that, well, that would encourage us to collect, of course, more beyond, like the judge was saying, beyond the collection rate that's set by Mr. Yates. I mean, we know the county needs every dollar that they can get, and our incentive is to collect every dollar.
But then the issue comes up, during the budgetary process, if Mr. Yates decides that what he really needs is 40%, do we have a whole new ballgame, or, I'm not sure why we put something in here at a certain amount, not knowing what he's going to be looking forward to or trying to collect during the budgetary cycle.
Well, and I think 6.03 might address some of the concerns that the judge has, which is if at any time during the term of this agreement, the client determines that the firm's performance. So we do have a language as to performance in there.
Well, but how we identifying what the performance is?
Well, usually every year at the beginning of your fiscal year, we talk to Mr. Yates. I mean, we talk to the tax collector. We know the dollar amount, the minimum dollar amount that the county needs. I mean, we're always trying to strive to collect more money. I mean, that's just our business, so that's what we're trying to do. Now, if an initial from Mr. Yates says it's got to be 35%, well, we're going to get the ground running and try to exceed 35%. I mean, we're always working with them. We know exactly the number that, the minimal number we need, but we're always trying to achieve and of course, collect more dollars on behalf of our clients.
Or it could be 35% or the amount willing to be certified by the auditor, whichever is less.
I think that the incentive to have that in the contract in a way protects the firm. Because if you're meeting the standards, we have less reason to not be satisfied with your performance. And I think that's where you were coming from. It's a matter of if we can agree to a percent collection rate that everyone can live with, and if you meet those standards, there's a 30-day out on performance in this contract, but if you're meeting the standards, it's much less likely that anyone would exercise that option, and that's where that would come in. Or at least that's what I understand.
And that would restrict Mr. Yates in the process of doing the budget?
No, not at all.
To request 40%?
No.
Well, if that's what we're going to agree to at 35, then it's going to be difficult for him to say 40 and us hold you to it.
No, but he can say 40, but it's his job to certify those revenues. But if he says 40, and we've committed to agree to 35, I mean, if they want to collect more, that's fine, but...
That's just what I said.
Yeah,
I just want to bring up two other points. Number one, an actual guarantee amount in the RFP was not in the RFP, number one. And number two, I think all the collections or the rate of collections, the percentages, was information that was asked by the RFP, and I don't think in any way, I can't speak for any other firms, but I don't think they were guaranteeing that rate. But I just want to clarify that we also gave the figures. If you look at October through September, our collections is X amount. If you look at July through June when it's turned over to us, last year's was 41.3%. So that's why I was asking Mr. Yates, are we talking October through September? Or are we talking July when it's handed over to us through June? That's a big difference. So that would need to be clarified also.
And that's where Mr. Yates was talking about doing it on a 12-month basis as opposed to a short period of time.
If we were to put that benchmark in the RFP, I can pretty much guarantee every firm would have said, yes, we can meet that. So just because it's out doesn't mean, I think if we would have placed that on there, y'all would have said yes, and everybody would have said yes, and, all I'm saying is that I think it gives us an opportunity to be able to grade you, annually and see if you are meeting those benchmarks. And if you have other counties throughout the state that are doing higher than what we're doing, then why can't we expect, something a little bit better? But that's my amount, I don't know where the court's gonna go, but those are my thoughts.
The county didn't go through this process to do what it always does. Our most recent history, I think our best was 32%. If we can't do 3% more, employing better techniques, better collection processes, better accountability and more aggressive attack of the delinquency, then we've wasted our time if we can't do 3% more than what we've been doing before. And so that's the effort. I'm here to work with the law firm here to do a better job and to collect more so that we can certify 35%. And I'm only going to certify what I believe we can actually achieve. And if we set that benchmark at 35% and exceed it, then next year we can do 36 or 37 and start growing it up to the level at which we should collect. And over a few periods of few years, then we actually collect 40%. I'll certify that amount. I typically look at our historical trends. If we do a better job, then the revenue will grow, and your tax rate can drop based on all things being equal.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Now, what is the motion that you're referring to?
Whatever motion y'all want to make. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the contract, but adding into the contract a minimum of 35% delinquent tax collection fee over a 12-month period, okay? And coupled with that we go back and still ask them to reduce the rate to 12.5%. So that's my motion.
Well, that's an ask.
Then
if they're telling us no right now, there's no reason to ask, and they've told us no when they made the presentation, they told us no in the RFP. And they told them no last week. I'm not sure
maybe they'll have a change of heart and tell us yes.
Maybe so, but I don't think so.
Look, that's my motion. If it fails, it fails. Okay. That's my motion. Do I have a second? Okay, motion dies for lack of second. Do I have another motion?
I move that we accept the contract and utilize the 35% benchmark as a performance standard so that we can have that benchmark in the contract, and we know and they know what we expect from the firm in regards to collections for the next year over the 12-month period that the auditor talked about.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, it was moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo to accept the contract, adding the language, having a minimum of a 35% collection on delinquent taxes, and leaving, I guess, the 15% collection fee alone?
Over a 12-month period.
Over a 12-month period, okay. It was moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm sorry, was that a yea?
Aye.
Okay. Item carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item 17, consideration approval of resolution authorizing the imposition of the additional penalty as provided by Texas Property Tax Code, Section 33.11, early additional penalty for collection costs for taxes imposed on personal property on all 2007 and subsequent years' taxes.
Can Tony give us a little...
Tony, you want to give us a layman's terms about what we're doing here?
Well, this is a standard required by state statute, and I think Ms. Canales can address it in detail, but this is a standard resolution that needs to be adopted by a governing body, in this case Cameron County, for them to assess the 15% attorney's fees come July 1st. And of course, since we added the 3311 on early penalties come April 1st, it's part of this resolution also. So this is a pretty well
Well, the
standard.
3311 part is the one I need an explanation on personally.
The 3311 is to turn over the business personal property early for collections.
April 1st.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the only other caveat.
That's the only
in
one,
this.
and to do the 3307 to go to 15%, back to 15%.
Right now, the court, about 3 years ago, adopted, I think it was 2003, increased the collection fee from 15 to 20%. So it's, by resolution, we need to adopt this to decrease it from 20 to 15.
Reducing.
And this includes the 2006 and 2007 and forward.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
That was moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Let me take two items out of order, and I'm sorry, Tommy, I just forgot about you. Was it 20 or 21? 21? Well, let's do 20. Well, no, we can do 21. Consideration authorization to allow the Cameron County Juvenile Justice Department the use of the Goolsby Building for the purchase of expanding their GED Vocational Trade School Charter School Program. Thank you, Lucy.
Judge, County Commissioners, thank you for your time. On item number 21, in regards to our request of you all, I think I sent you all a packet of information that would expand upon what we were trying to do here that went beyond what's on the agenda here. But basically, the bottom line is this, is over the past 4 years, our Juvenile Justice Department has done a number of things to enhance our efforts to do a lot of intervention, prevention type programs. One of those being, we have partnered up with an entity called the Gulf Coast Trade School Program out of New Waverly, Texas. They're an organization that I've been in business with for about 22 years, professional association with them in terms of services to youth. We currently have young men and women that we have placed at their facility. They have a residential treatment center in New Waverly, Texas. It houses about 300 to 400 kids for long-term care. 4 years ago, when I came to the county, I visited with a gentleman by the name of Michael Thomas Busby, a friend of mine, and one of the founders and executive director of that program. I worked with him trying to convince him to come to the Valley and help me open up some programs that would provide some academic and vocational services to youth here in this county, because there's a tremendous need for that. He agreed to do that, and we've kind of evolved and grown over the past 4 years with our program services for our youth here in this community. Mr. Busby passed away about a month and a half ago, and so I was, very saddened to have that happen. And in his absence now, I have continued to work with their board of directors, their interim executive director. They're currently in the process of finding a new director. They're doing a nationwide search. But they have agreed to continue the partnership that we have started 4 years ago. We currently have a vocational program, a GED program at our boot camp. We have one at the Teen Center. We have a satellite office in Harlingen. And we're working in small numbers with small number of kids, and we are working currently actually on our fifth graduating class through our GED program there. Well, over the past 4 years, we've been working diligently to try to get the TEA to approve a charter school license extension here to the Valley that would come to us, and we could partner up with them, and we could address some really serious needs that we have in terms of the dropout rate, especially the dropout rate of our high-risk youth that we work with. We finally, just a few days before Mr. Busby passed away, he came here actually to bring me the great news, and we celebrated together to this exciting news that we were approved, and then he was hoping to bring down this charter school that would work in partnership with us, and we could do some serious program implementation to address this dropout rate that exists in this county. Since his passing, the board of directors there has agreed to continue his dream and work closely with us in partnership. Well, we were approved for a 200-student charter school. Now, we have no plans to start a 200-member charter school, but we'd like to start with a school population of 75 to 100 kids, and eventually, of course, our plans are to start this program in San Benito, because it's centrally located to both Harlingen and Brownsville, and eventually we hope to have satellite campuses both in Brownsville and also in Harlingen, and that's in the future. But we're needing a site to implement this program. I brought some information that I put together that I wanted to share with you all. We currently have here in this county 11,000 students approximately in San Benito ISD. We have 49,000 plus here in Brownsville ISD. We have 19,000 plus students in Harlingen. There was recently an article in our community newspapers and also even around the state having some discussions about the chronic problem that we have of dropouts here in the state of Texas, who ranks at the very top almost of the dropout rate across the country. Here in Cameron County, our dropout rate is right now being estimated, and I think it's fairly accurate, at about 48.6, 48.7%. That's horrendous. I looked at the 12 young people that were here presenting the program to you earlier, and just the thought of knowing that at least half of those kids were not going to make it to graduation, that's a scary thought. Well, we've been working so hard to create some programs to at least curtail that to some degree. But now I think we're ready to take it to another level, and I think the charter school / vocational school / GED program is going to help us do that. The Gulf Coast is willing to come here, bring all the staffing that's necessary to do that at no cost to us. They're willing to bring all the equipment, of which they already have invested a tremendous amount of money in vocational trade school equipment here, which provides services for us. Now with the charter school, it gives us a whole new dimension of opportunities for our juveniles going through the juvenile court, and also those that we're working with that are just simply high-risk youth in our community. Now, I know we're not going to be able to eliminate that dropout rate, but I think we can certainly do something to impact it in a positive way. We just need a place to do this program. The Goolsby building is a place that I think we could begin to start this program and eventually hopefully grow into something else. I had addressed the juvenile board some time back and met with Mr. Yates concerning some money that we actually had generated over the past 4 years, and the hopes of what we wanted to do with that money was someday actually build a vocational tech facility on our property there in San Benito where we could service all the kids from around the county to provide these services for them. And now with the charter school, that would simply enhance tremendously what we would be trying to do. And that's in the future. I still hope someday that we would have such a facility on our property. But in the meantime, we're ready to start. We're ready to start this fall. I've met with superintendents and had discussions with them. They understand the value of what this is back to their school districts in terms of how it would help them. This is not a new program to me. I ran something very similar to this in my past employment for about 8 years, and we found it to be extremely successful in being able to help young people in the community with their educational needs and their social needs and other such needs. I have, at your places there, I've drafted a contract for services, and before I leave, I'll leave it with Delby. I ran short on one, I'm sorry. For her to review and hopefully any amendments that she would like to make. But basically, I've addressed in there the purpose of this contract service, the term, the relationship of the parties, the scope of the work, very clearly defined. Any modification, universal disclaimers, and limited repealers that would be necessary to address this type of contract. A simple termination, 30 days notice by either party who's not happy or satisfied. And then any other notices that would have to be approved by both parties consenting. It has a signature line for the Gulf Coast Trade Center for their current interim director, Dr. Ron Ray, for our county judge, Carlos Cascos, to sign off on. It would be a year-to-year contract, just as we have with our juvenile justice school, Southwest Key contract, where we would review it, and if things are going well and the performance is going as we would like for it to go, we would simply come back again to renew that contract on a year-to-year basis. Any changes that we would need to make to this, we certainly would be glad to do that, based on whatever recommendations are made by this court, and by our civil, division. I think this pretty well covers, what we would need. Gulf Coast Trade School has agreed that they would not only would provide the staffing and the equipment, they would take care of all utilities, all maintenance, all repairs. I know that it's in dire need of a roof. They would take care of that, come in and put a new roof, and be willing to do that to help us get this program underway.
So they, Tommy, excuse me, so they take the responsibility of bringing the building up to par for this?
Yes, ma'am.
That was my main concern. I think it's a tremendous venture that you're going on, and it's definitely needed.
Well, we've actually done a site visit already. We went out and looked at the place and looked at it inside out, before we wanted to make this kind of a commitment to do such a project, because it's not a small project. And they feel very comfortable that they can make the investment that's necessary to be there. I hope that it would be a short-term investment there at that facility, that maybe over the next 5 years, we would be looking at moving the whole program onto this facility that I described earlier. That's the goal. I've had a dream forever of wanting to create such a program at the level that this would move us to, because I know how impactful this would be on a lot of young people in this community. It certainly would be nice to be able to come to you all in the next 5 to 10 years and be able to actually give you some statistical data and I think I can, that would tell you that we have decreased the dropout rate in this county by a certain percentage. I feel very confident that we can do that. I'm very much into keeping statistical data to see if what we're doing is what we should be doing, if everything about what we do is performance-based. And we want to know, we don't want to just be doing something for the sake of doing it. We want to know that it is working and there is something good coming out of all of what we do. I have a bunch of staff here with me this evening, and I asked them to come here for moral support, because this is quite a big project that we're trying to undertake. We already are doing a lot of things in this community that is very unique to us as a probation department, that I think if you went out to see probation departments around the state and even around the country, you would find very few departments that are doing the sort of things that we're doing for early intervention, prevention type programs, and even we're the only department in the entire country that runs its own teen center to service youth. One of 2 or 3 in the entire country that has boys and girls.
Okay.
I'm trying to sell you on the idea.
I know you're getting excited, but
I do get excited,
and I can tell. Okay, but let me ask one question, Pete. Pete, do we have any plans for the use of the Goolsby building at this point?
I know that we've had some discussions, maybe not as a commission, but I know that individually you've shared, or not you, Pete, but Tommy, have shared the thought of that plan that was there, from the times that we were procuring the Levi building in San Benito. And, my only question in this, and it's directed to Dilbia, is there any procurement issues associated with doing this type of contract with a charter school?
I haven't been given anything on this, Commissioner, so this would be something I'd have to look into and research a little bit.
Okay.
And that's my fault, Commissioner. I've been going to Washington for a week. I had intentions to have it in time for Delvia or Mr. Hodge or someone to review it, but we just... Did
you look at that at all, Pete? Because I know I made a call to you, remember, and I told you that we needed to look at procurement in regards to making sure that would not be an issue.
No, but again, if the court wants to move forward, they can direct staff to work with Tommy and legal, and if after the review from legal, if it is something the court can move forward on, then we'll put an item on the agenda and recommend an agreement to the court.
I think that's what we need to do. I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Ramirez get together with our county administrator and review this proposal, and to get with legal and see if we can move forward with it.
Second.
And consider also in the proposal if there's any room there with Gulf Coast Trade Center, Inc., to possibly remunerate the county in some small way, you know.
If you would look at that document, in a sense they are. What I'm asking for is, I don't want to come to the Commissioners Court and ask for any more additional money than I've already asked for in my budget proposal already. But what I'm asking for is one staff member that will be on site there to work, will be our employee there working with all the youth that we're sending there in partnership with them. And what they would be doing would be basically like we're doing with JJP, they provide the salary and the benefit package for that individual. They send the money to us, it's invoiced out of Mr. Yates' office as it is now for our staff member at JJP. It's at the tune of almost about $40,000.
Let me ask a question real quick. Is Gulf Coast Trade Center a nonprofit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I guess the question that go to procurement, do we have to bid this out and give anyone an opportunity to bid for the renting or the use of this building? And you're not a lawyer, so I'm going to have to rely on Dilbia to answer that question along with Mike Forbes. Do we have to bid this out? And I don't know.
I see that as part of the review that we're asking them to do.
Okay, so you want to make that part of your motion then, Commissioner?
My motion
Okay.
was for them to go forward, review the possibility, look at all the details that we have to look into, and then report back to us.
And bring us something we can approve.
And that was my second.
Okay. So, and part of that review is going to be run it through Mike Forbes and see if we have to somehow put this out for bid and whatever, I don't know.
Legal?
Okay?
Yeah, we'll get a legal opinion.
All right. Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood, to go along with the terms and conditions as expressed by Commissioner Tamayo. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item 18, consideration and action authorizing the increase of the Texas District Collector's Office budget to administer the ad valorem tax collection for the Brownsville Independent School District in accordance with the Texas Property Tax Code, Section 6.21.
Judge, Commissioners, on April the 3rd, I came before the court requesting approval for my office to submit a proposal for Brownsville Independent School District property taxes. At that time, the court approved and authorized my office to submit a proposal. And as a matter of fact, we were the only proposal that was submitted to BISD. On May 22nd, the contract between BISD and the county was approved by Commissioner's Court. That was last week. In order for us to collect and administer the BISD taxes, I have submitted to you for approval a budget that are items or resources that are needed in order for us to succeed and implement this program in Cameron County. We've met with everybody, BISD, the auditor's office, my office, and this is the plan that we came up with. These are the individuals that are needed in order to service these additional duties that we're going to be implementing next 30 days.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Do you feel comfortable that all those items that you've listed on the different departments, Tony, will cover everything you need?
And I don't mean
on the personnel and salaries, I mean on the rest of the...
On the
office
actual, for computers, advertising, everything, I've met with my staff. We've been working on this for the last 2 months. It's been an ongoing process that we've worked with, and I am pretty sure this is what is needed in order to have a successful program.
And if you need anything else, you're going to absorb it within your budget?
Yes.
Okay.
yes. I'm not saying that we are, I don't think we are. I think with the dollars that are gonna be, in other words, it's gonna be a wash. Whatever we collect is gonna be invested in this program, in this project.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
Can I ask a question, Judge?
Let me get a motion a second, then we
I
can
move
discuss.
that we approve it as presented.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Gatsa. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Tamayo. Discussion.
Tony, I wanted to ask you, you're asking for 5 additional persons, or is it just 3?
No, for the entire program will consist of 5 additional employees. For now, because of the numbers that have been certified by the county auditor, we will be, if you're looking at the salary schedule, we'll be implementing the first 5, and then the additional 4 employees will be, because of the slow season right now, the additional 4 employees will be hired October 1st.
Where's that money gonna come from? Because you're using, does this $249,935 expense include those you plan on hiring in October?
This is for a 12-month, this budget is for 12 months, Commissioner. The amount of money that's needed is for July, August, and September. What's needed for the next 3 months is 12,000,
Correct.
6 plus, and that number has been certified by the auditor.
But when we do a full year, you're gonna need $250,000 worth of money, is that correct?
That's coming from the project, from the program, from the fees that we're gonna collect. Yes, sir.
What are we gonna do, and I know last week when we talked about this, you said you were gonna get with the auditor and discuss the issues of other entities that we collect for.
Yes, sir.
Since we do charge them more than what we're contracting BISD to collect for, if they come in requesting that we charge them similar to BISD or less than what we charge them now, because we're not making any money off of them either, according to the statute, are we going to be able to reduce staff if we get less money?
I met with the auditor today, and before the end of the year, Mr. Yates indicated that there would be a cost analysis report that will be done in Cameron County, in my office, to find out the actual cost versus the expenditures. So we'll be like I told the court last week, we're going to be working towards that. When the actual analysis will start, I don't know. Mr. Yates will, I guess, and this is a cost analysis that's done from year to year.
And as you and I have discussed even earlier today, I have a hard time understanding that it costs more to collect the city of Brownsville than it does BISDs. So, you know, our UTB, TSCs, the Port of Brownsville, the other entities you collect for. So I'm wondering if we do have to reduce their cost for collection, or is it going to be increasing BISD's cost per collection to come out even as a wash, as the judge says?
Well, until values are certified and until tax rates are adopted, and not until this report is done, we're going to find out the actual cost. But we'll just wait and see as to where this report is going to take us.
I'm expecting the report by the Maximus Corporation that y'all approved last week to be completed by the end of July. I think that'll give us ample time to make sure that we're not collecting more revenue than it's costing us. And if we are, then at that point in time, we'll make an adjustment on the collection rate.
Well, if we make an adjustment on the collection rate, Mr. Yates, that means if it's downward, that means we're going to be getting less money in. How are we going to pay for the employees we have if we're breaking even now with what we're paying employees? You can't deduct money and continue to pay the same employees the same amount of money.
I think the tax assessor collector had a plan to bring on additional beginning October 1, when the tax rate was the tax collections kicked into a higher level. If the report shows that we're not going to be able to generate additional revenue across the board, then we're not going to be able to hire more people. That's just the way it is.
You'll
You're
have the
correct.
report prior to the adoption of the budget, right?
You're correct.
Okay, so at that point in time, you'll be able to tell if you need to scale back on any of your items, right?
Yeah, at this time, we're only certifying $12,751. What the tax assessor collector says he needs between now and October 1st. So that's all we're looking to implement at this stage. There is some upfront costs that the tax assessor collector says he can absorb within his current budget, but there are some additional data storage needs because our IBM AS400 storage is at 82% capacity, and once you reach 72, 75, it starts working inefficiently. And so we're going to have to add all the records that BISD has, we're going to have to increase our storage capacity. In addition, the court had voted on to put the net data system on the AS400, which is also going to tax the AS400's storage needs, so we're going to have to spend some money up front. So that's one of the problems.
Any further discussion? Okay, we had a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 19, consideration authorization for legal division to negotiate a vendor network sharing agreement with ACS to provide support services to the Levi's building. Pete?
Judge, Commissioners, County Clerk asked us to put this on the agenda. When the County Clerk was housed at the Levy building, they had a T1 line go into that building to the Harrison Street Courthouse. Since they'll be moving now to the Levi's building, there's a network connection, they call it a communication line, currently to that building to support the rest of the county. And the County Clerk is asking for permission to use his vendor to use that line so that he can continue to do the operations that he's doing at the Levi's building. So this, basically, we're asking to put together an agreement, and I think Delbia is reviewing it, that will address maintenance support and security issues, because an outside vendor is going to be using our network to do some of the operations that Mr. Rivera needs for his.
All right, so Delbia, you're going to bring this back to us?
Yes, sir, I'm going to meet with Joey Vetta and the ACS.
Okay, so then do we need to table this till you're ready?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to table? By Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Gatsa to table item 19. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carried. Did we talk about item 20? Do we have to go back to 20? Consideration, discussion and possible action regarding the county properties that are to be vacated when the Levi's building and the Harlingen Annex are opened. Pete? Item number 20.
Judge and Commissioners, as we're getting ready to move into the Levi's building in San Benito and the Harlingen Annex, there are going to be some buildings that we need to start getting some direction from the court as to, how we want to proceed, whether we want to proceed and sell the buildings. We're talking about the Aguirre building, the Harlingen Annex building, downtown Harlingen, the tax office in downtown Harlingen. And then I believe right next to the Harlingen Annex and the tax office is an empty lot that is also county property. So we just wanted to place the item on the agenda, just get some direction from the court so that we can proceed accordingly.
One thing on the Aguirre building, downtown San Benito, the city of San Benito has expressed an interest in possibly either acquiring or taking over that building so they can use it, incorporate it into their office complexes. Is there anything y'all want to do with that? Y'all want to pursue that, Commissioner Gatsa? That's in your precinct. You want to pursue that with them and see what they want to do? Okay. I guess most of the buildings that we're vacating are either in precinct 3 or 4, right? Y'all want to give it some thought to as to?
We've had some discussions. Can use it. We ought to work with them and see what they can use it for.
Well, they want to buy it, possibly buy it, or, because that needs a lot of renovation, and they're willing to do it.
And it's deteriorating.
Yeah, and it's been vacant,
Every
it's
time
been,
But I know we've had some discussions as a court in regards to some of these buildings. The Goolsby building, of course, we've discussed earlier during this meeting. The Health Department building in San Benito, we already have an agreement in place to turn that over to the city.
The Carter Street Clinic.
But that's, isn't that a rental? Which one is it?
No.
Which one is it?
The Health Department
From behind the, okay.
we're just awaiting
Right.
their check,
Right.
right? Because they owe the county $100,000. That was the agreement. The tax office in Harlingen, I know we've discussed of selling that building and utilizing some of those funds in other construction projects, okay? The lot in Harlingen and the tax office in Harlingen, we had discussed as possibly selling all that area to some type of developer. I know we've had.
I think we tried to sell it,
think-
didn't get any bids.
The
one
lot.
time. Yeah, the lot.
Well, the lot.
The lot.
But as a total area,
The whole thing might work better.
Commissioners and judges, we at one time did put them out for sale. We followed the procedure. We appointed Commissioner Tamayo, and we got appraisals done on those properties in Harlingen, and we put them out for sale at first for sealed bids, and then we did not receive anything, and then we even tried at a public auction, and no one showed up.
But I
That was
think,
for the lot.
I think the difference is that we need to look at, I think our county administrator needs to look into the different options of making the sale, because after, and I remember that distinctly, DLB, that we stood out there and nobody came to buy that empty lot. But I believe, I think that we need to look at the different options as to how it can sell, because after that happened, there was a businessman in Harlingen that mentioned that he was interested in buying not just the lot, but a building to go with it, and so I think perhaps we need to look into that and see the different options that we can have. We have a real estate person on the court.
Let's just make sure that we don't find out 2 years from now that, we should have sold it, we should have kept it, we need more office space for something, so I guess explore the lot, but I would go to the city of San Benito first, and then
for that
specific building, and the rest come up with some alternatives, what we need to do, how much going to cost if we're going to keep it, to renovate it, or fix it up. How did the Levi building survive these past rains? Did they do okay?
We did okay. We were there.
Okay.
There
No
were some
problems?
leaks.
Okay.
Secrets Hall had to be called
Okay.
out. But if we can go into that briefly, I can give you a quick report. The concerns that we expressed to Mr. Santopetro in regards to wind blowing through the door seals, remember, and the ponding of the water, all those things came to be true, even though he said it wouldn't occur. I mean, we had water that came in through the doors because the wind would push it under, and I had water coming into my place of business through the door on the bottom. That's how heavy the rain was or how hard it was. So I don't know if it was just the type of event we had that caused it to occur, but there were a number of leaks. I know Secrets Hall has been called out to check on those leaks to make sure that they address them now under warranty. Overall, fairly well.
All right, so then Pete, you want to give us, maybe about a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, come back with some alternatives on some of these soon-to-be vacant buildings? In the interim, you can talk to the city of San Benito, see if they want to do something?
Would it be wise for us to consider the utilization of an agent of some sort to do some of that work?
Well, I think we can, but why don't we wait for him to come up with some alternatives and see what we can do?
I know, when we got ready to sell that lot, I think, we didn't get any sale bids, and we went out for auction, and the idea was to sell it for what the appraised value was, that the appraisal district appraises that. And that's kind of one example of, sometimes things don't sell for what they appraise it for. They're just not worth it, right?
All right, you want a couple of weeks? Okay, all righty.
And we'll explore the Aguirre building with the city.
Okay. Do I have a motion to acknowledge
So moved.
Mr. Fuller's presentation, moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Item 22, discussion and possible action on temporary contract negotiation regarding the performance of autopsies. Commissioner Gatz, anything to report? Do I have a motion to table?
So moved.
By Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Could I expand go ahead and vote it out.
Signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Discussion on item 22.
Yeah, just one thing, The one thing that has come up that I need to make sure and get some direction from the commission is, how committed is this commission to moving forward with having a medical examiner's office in this county?
With Hidalgo County or by ourselves?
Well, if we can partner, we need to do that.
With or without?
Partner, I don't think we can afford it. They're very expensive.
We've discussed both.
Hidalgo County is ready to talk. I talked to Judge Salinas a week or so ago. We're going to be getting together probably in the next middle June to talk about that, amongst other things.
Because there is interest by one individual to become a medical examiner for Cameron County.
Okay.
And we just need to know if that's the direction that we're going to go into, if it could be maybe a mutual agreement between us and Hidalgo County, and have a relationship of some sort there, but
let me do this. Let me set up a meeting between you, Judge Salinas, and myself, maybe somebody from his court, since you're the one who's been active on the autopsy deal, maybe for next week. We can talk about it with him at that point. That's all right? Okay? All right.
Well, that's what I had understood, Judge, that you would be taking the lead in meeting with the other counties, but since he's working with a committee, I can see him joining in. But
yeah, we've talked about it.
That's the direction we said we were going to take.
Yeah, we've talked about it 3 times.
I just want to make sure that I don't tell someone.
Yeah, no, we've talked about it 3 times.
And I give them false information,
Well, you'll always come back to this court, David.
Yeah, we've discussed it with.
We had discussed partnership.
Yeah, with 3 times. I'm waiting to get a proposal from him as to how, what, when, where. So we'll do that next week, okay? Item 23, discussion possible action regarding the upper payment limit option for the indigent health care funds. We'll hear a motion to table.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 24, consideration approval of scope and fee with Aguirre Corporation for the repairs of the Carizales Rucker facility.
This item needs to be tabled also.
Do I hear a motion to table? By Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 25, consideration.
It will be brought back next week. We said 1 or 2 weeks, remember?
Yes, I spoke to the sheriff today, and we're meeting tomorrow morning, and we're going to have a conference call with Aguirre, and hopefully,
Okay. And
it'll be back on for next week.
Okay, thank you.
Item 25, consideration approval of bank depository agreement between Cameron County and Texas State Bank. Do I hear a motion to table?
And number 25?
Number 25.
There's no
So
agreement yet?
No agreement yet.
Okay. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 26, consideration action to approve security lighting system for the northeast parking lot improvements. Ernest, how are you?
Good evening, Judge and Commissioners. PUB submitted 3 proposals for the security light system for the northeast parking lot. And in your packet of information, there should be a summary of the proposed improvements. And if you have and look at this summary sheet, it has estimate number 1. And that proposal is for the installation of 23 concrete poles with underground wiring, inclusive of 31 area lights, 250 watt area lights, for a total project cost of $32,076.27. Our contribution, they're giving us about a 26% reduction, which is $23,648.53. That's on your right-hand column. You have to look at it also that there is a monthly charge of $11.97 per light for a flat rate of 31 lights. Comes out to about $371 per month for that service, if we go that route. And also it will does not include fuel and energy charges. I think that's a factor they add in there, but approximately $371. The difference, again, is about $8,400 between their proposal and our cost. Estimate number two is for the same thing, is for 23.
Would that do any damage to the parking lot itself by going underground?
That's something that we need. I still need to get and verify that, because we are finished with one half of the parking lot, And, the only way we can get under there with underground wiring or cable, I guess, we have to directionally drill onto the open spaces that we have for green areas. And I'm not sure how accurate they are with that, borings. Otherwise, we're gonna have to cut.
Yeah, and I'd hate to cut a brand-new parking
And
lot.
so.
But Ernesto, just a, question, how come we didn't, consider this underground wiring prior to the asphalting here? I mean, if we knew we were gonna,
Well, remember when we, sometime back, when we had our pre-construction here in this, court, at that time, that's when we were considering, or the subject came out about security, and it wasn't thought of it before that, and this is,
yeah, but they hadn't laid the, but
we proceeded forward.
yeah, but back when we talked about that, had you started laying the asphalt back then already?
No.
Right,
We're,
so that wouldn't have really done
No, I
anything
think in
because
the
we talked
interest
about
of
it.
keeping the project moving, because I think that the court wanted to have this project done within 45, 60 days because of the business of the court. And so we proceeded forward. By the time we got this estimate from PUB, it took a long time. It took them almost 4 weeks, 4 weeks to get a response from them on the design. And they finally came back with a design, but we were already halfway through. Not wanting to delay the project, now, that's why we could have delayed the project for a month, 4 weeks.
But the overhead, I think, underground wiring is so much safer
It is, and the
than
hurricane,
the
of course.
overhead. Yeah, especially during a storm or hurricane, have to worry about it.
But I can talk to them, see if they can directionally drill without having to.
Why don't you do that? I mean, I as well would prefer the underground wiring. And then I guess try to look at it and see we don't damage it too. Can you go along the perimeter?
No, some of it is, if you look at your, area map, there's a little map of the, site plan, I guess, or the parking lot. There are some that are gonna go, directly under the center line of that parking lot. But we do have some green areas, I think, that we can come up through that, but I don't know their capabilities for underground directional drilling.
That's
expensive. And, that cost may not hold up.
Yeah, but we should have done this before you laid the asphalt.
And the only other alternative is to hold up the second half. Maybe we can do something and not do anything till we can decide on if they can actually do the
Because you haven't
underground.
started laying asphalt on the second half yet, right?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
We're still lacking half.
What do y'all want to do?
And maybe we can do it through one side or
I was looking at
redesign.
this, was any thought put into, we've got 4 sides. If you put a pole, preferably a concrete pole, on each corner, that's 4, and then one in the center of each side, that's 4 more, having 8, flooding into it. And then you could stay out of the parking lot. You could do it along the edge. And I don't see a drawing like that.
Yeah. Well, we can explore, they're just gonna have to redesign their runs to the
Yeah, I
poles.
understand that, but they could do it.
I just don't
underground.
know, because I need to sit down with them and explore that.
Will that provide the proper lighting? It should.
Using the 1,000-watt lights instead of 250-watt lights.
Yes,
So
because
500
the other ones are flood lights, which are a bigger light system. The 250 are smaller lights.
Right.
That's why they only require 31, they require 31 lights.
Have you looked at solar lighting?
Only during the day.
No, sir.
We get solar lights.
This is, all hardwire.
Because there are 7 poles.
That's why you're a pharmacist.
But estimate 3 is for, 6 wooden poles.
The 6th pole is in the center, right down the center. And you've got a problem if you're gonna do it underground.
Yeah, and-
So if you did it around the perimeter.
Yeah, the other two
more
options are
poles.
aerials. It doesn't matter because we're gonna have aerial wire going
Have
through.
better lighting if you did it around the perimeter with 8.
Well, can we get
Put them underground.
maybe by next week, that plan?
Scenario.
I'll sit down with
Design
the
it for
PUB, see what they can offer us other than this. If there's no damage to the asphalt doing underground, as per estimate number 1, obviously, the court wants to pursue that,
Do
right?
that. If
If there's no damage?
Oh, yeah, if there's no
Yeah.
damage to it, sure. I
Yeah,
thought you
okay.
said you're gonna have to carve out and...
Sure, okay.
All right,
And
so
then
do your
how do you
motion
bring
to
up-
table for 1 week.
Well, can we approve with the condition that if there is no damage, we go with estimate number 1?
If that's your motion, I've got no problem with
Yeah,
that.
that's my motion.
Okay.
And if not, you have to come back.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, do I have a second? By Commissioner Tamayo, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Consideration possible approval of contract with RGV Educational Broadcasting, Inc., KMBH TV 60, to broadcast Commissioners Court meetings. Dilby, everything worked out on that?
Yes, sir. The only thing is, I think you and Commissioner Wood had expressed a concern about maybe seeing if the rate could come down or maybe give a different time spot. And we met with the manager, and he expressed that it was really difficult to give a different time spot because the uncertainty is how long the Commissioners Court meetings would take, would sometimes not allow the whole meeting to be shown. And he did indicate that he would not be able to come down on the rate. So the rate remained the same.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, do I have a second by Commissioner Tamayo? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item 28, consideration possible action on the donation of land from the Community Development Corporation of Brownsville within the Inwood subdivision, Section 2, for a community park.
Judge, Commissioners, I placed this on the agenda at the request of the Community Development Corporation of Brownsville. They met with, of course, you recall, they met with you, Judge, and myself, and prior to that, they met with, of course, Commissioner Wood and myself. And,
That was 3.5 years ago, Javier.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Got a great memory, don't you?
the last meeting that we had, Judge, you had requested them to consider widening up the area that they were going to donate to us. So they did that. They offered additional 20 feet in some areas and 30 feet in some other areas. So I guess my question to the court is, do we want to proceed with the donation or acceptance of the donation? I know there's some concerns having this property hidden behind the houses. Could be, increased vandalism.
Is it accessible to all? Is there a public accessibility issue with it or not?
Yes, sir. You can see the double solid line. That's where they're going to provide the access to it. There's going to be an easement.
No.
You're talking about which one, David?
The double solid lines, or
Actually,
Is that what you said?
3 lines in a
Yes,
row,
sir.
I think.
A wiggly line maybe?
Between lot 54 and 55.
correct, between 54 and 55.
I can't see that small.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 54, okay. How big of an area is this?
It's not very big. I went out there and visited with their staff, and they had staked it for me, and we walked out there, and it's really heavy brush. They cleared out an area, and probably from lots 51 through, I'd say 56, didn't seem like the water was moving very much. It looked like a drain ditch. The rest, I guess where it opens up, it looked like more of a live recycle where there's
Not
movement
a
and so
good
on.
idea.
We're gonna,
I don't think, I can't see.
we're gonna be responsible for
Yeah.
drainage now?
Yeah.
We have enough problems.
I can't see it.
It appears to be about 700 foot long,
Mhm.
and it's going to vary according to their cover sheet, anywhere from 50 feet to 85 feet in depth, based on the Resaco banks.
What do you think?
The biggest issue I have with it is, it's accessible, and I don't have a problem with that, but it's hidden. It's behind houses which will probably build fences at their backyard. And I think it opens itself up to any sort of activity, vandalism or any other sort of activity, without being able to really have any visual controls over it that might restrict activities that we probably would not want to go on in a park.
And also
So is that
concerned that it's not a very large area, so I mean.
It's just a green belt. It's really what it is. Just a green belt, a buffer between the Resaca, and I haven't been out there in a long, long time, but if I remember the property, it's just a long green belt. What do we have to do to maintain? We have to do anything. It's all
Well,
natural habitat.
They've got about
Yeah, but
25 feet from the back of the
deniable.
property lines that they've kept mowed, and the property owners are probably going to keep that mowed. And then anywhere from, according to this, anywhere from 30 to 50 feet would be vegetation, thick, heavy vegetation along the Resaca, which is nice. That's nice. However, how are we going to patrol it? Who's going to look after it?
Why do you patrol it? I mean, I'm just asking,
Well,
why would you want to patrol it? We're not going to have any amenities, are we?
No, but
Park
you're going to
benches
have
or anything like that?
access for people to go there at all hours of the night and day to do whatever they feel like they want to do in that area.
But aren't they going to have that even if we don't take it?
Yeah, but it won't be our problem.
It's not going to be ours.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, if they wanted to revise the subdivision plans and have a street run in front of that, so it would be open, to a street, that would mean moving lots over and readjusting them. I
Or
don't know
just
whether they can
donating
do that.
lots. They could donate a lot for access.
Well, we've got access, that's not a big issue.
I don't think that's the only issue. I'm
What is your
concerned.
recommendation, Javier?
Well, Commissioner, I have the same concerns as, Commissioner Wood is, it's just gonna be blocked. I mean, there's not a lot of visibility. The other thing is that there's a buffer between the vegetation, of course, and the backyards, wherever the people fence, and the only thing we'd have to be going in there is, of course, is mowing that strip of land, and maintaining that. That'd be the only maintenance that we would incur, unless we wanted to build a little trail back there and, for birders, or bird watchers or so on. But, other than that, it's another area that we gotta maintain and mow.
Well, I didn't hear a recommendation, but, do you want to deny the donation?
Pardon?
Do you want to deny the donation? Say, no, we don't want it?
If,
That's what y'all want to do?
I want to go ahead and deny it because of what we would have to follow up with. I mean, the donation is because they want us to call it a county park, and maintain it. That's the main thing. They don't want to have to maintain it.
Okay, is that a motion to deny the donation
So moved.
of the land from the CDCB? That was moved by Commissioner Tamayo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Item 29, consideration possible action regarding the county's legislative agenda.
Judge, Commissioners, as you all know, last night, the 80th legislative session adjourned. In your packet, you have two pages. The first page is an outline on the governor's actions and what he will probably end up doing for most of these bills once they're sent to his desk, if not already on his desk. Basically, upon receiving a bill, the governor has 10 days in which to sign the bill, veto it, or allow it to become law without a signature. If the governor vetoes the bill and the legislature is still in session, the bill is returned to the House, which doesn't apply here because they're not in session anymore. If the governor...
It's not gonna happen on any of them.
Right, exactly. That's why I'm skipping that section. If the governor neither vetoes nor signs the bill within 10 days, the bill becomes a law. If the bill is sent to the governor within 10 days of final adjournment, the governor will have until 20 days after final adjournment to sign the bill. So, in your spreadsheet, we've got a layout of the different bills that have either been passed, died, sent to the governor, or have been signed by the governor. And so, we start with the first one on the district courts. That bill died, but if you look at the last bill on that sheet, SB 1951, which is the omnibus district court bill, that passed and it's been sent to the governor. So, and that bill takes care of what was required in SB 615 and HB 1342 for the creation of 2 additional courts. We had a bill on international bridges that we were working on. That's also been sent to the governor. The legislation for fixing the subdivision issues in Olmito, SB 1158, has also been sent to the governor. The bill to increase vehicle registration fees and use that for county transportation planning RMA planning, HB 3437 was signed by the governor, and it's effective immediately. As many of you know, the moratorium, House Bill 1892, was vetoed by the governor, and a new bill was brought forth, essentially an agreement, the new version of the moratorium bill, SB 792, that was passed late last week by both the House and the Senate. Conference committee met, they passed the bill, they sent it to the governor, and that's towards the bottom of the page, Senate Bill 792. That's the bill that will allow for a lot of the projects in Cameron County to continue and not be part of the comprehensive development agreement moratorium process. House Bill 573, it's a colonial lighting bill. It's one of the bills we testified on. That was introduced by State Rep. Veronica Gonzalez. That's been sent to the governor as well.
And thank you for the work that you two did with that bill, because you were very instrumental to her office, you know. Got a call in some of the preparation that you did for her.
I was very appreciative.
The rail relocation bill that we were working on, HB 3747, we had there that it died, but it passed, but there was no funding in it towards the end of the session, so the funding was stricken. So we're going to work with TxDOT, because we are being told that there's some funding from TxDOT that we can probably tap into for financing some of the bonds that we'll probably have to sell for particular our rail relocation project in Harlingen. So that's one bill or one issue that we're going to have to follow up with TxDOT to see where we can tap into some money on. The PI Lighthouse bill was passed in the Parks bill through House Bill 12. That's the bill that took out the lighthouse in Port Isabel, basically kept it under the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and didn't move it over to the Historical Commission. That bill's been sent to the governor. There's a bill that we were watching towards the end, and I think there was an article in the paper sometime last week on eliminating county courts, House Bill 2906. That died, point of order. Basically, that would have eliminated every county court in the state of Texas. And so we were talking to our representatives on that. Changing the primary election, there was no action on that. It stayed as is. And then the new version of the moratorium bill, Senate Bill 792. There was also another bill enforcing solid waste collection, Senate Bill 1251, and Richard was working with some folks on this bill, and that has been sent to the governor as well. Those are the bills that we are looking at. Those are
on the omnibus bill, though, the language stayed with what we wanted, right?
As far as the dates?
The dates when they become effective, the family law and all that stuff?
Family and criminal, yes, sir.
All right. Well, let me know, because can you make sure of that?
I will. We'll check it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Do I hear a motion to acknowledge David's report?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 30, federal legislative agenda. Anything?
Nothing to report at this
Move to
time.
table.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Hear a motion to adjourn. Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. God save this honorable court.